Hey, man, it's technology. Okay, I'm just telling you, if you tune back in, you've got a greater than even chance you're going to win some barbecue food now, all right? Because you're a totally loyal customer right now. You came back, look, tech issues happen. I'm not saying it's sabotage. I'm not trying to go conspiracy theory here, but it seems to be that we have a technology problem tonight, and it hasn't happened the rest of the day today. So I don't know. The podcast starts, the internet goes south. I'm pretty sure the bill was paid too, right? We've got everything set up. When all computers go down in the middle of the podcast, we got problems, but it's all good. We're just going to hit the stride, come right back where we were, and start talking about the COVID-19 issues and the update today from City Hall. I'm sorry if you didn't get a chance to watch it earlier, but there were not a lot of updates. I'm going to give you some more information here with some slides and graphics. The biggest update out of the COVID-19 briefing was that Nelson had dinner with Cheryl Scully, and he ordered Snapper. That's pretty much the only update I got out of that. Like, legitimately, I learned nothing else. Feed the hamsters, Greg Brockhouse. Happened to me all day. Derwin, barbecue. George needs to get some barbecue only when you start talking COVID. Renee is absolutely right. Jason Matthews is still here. Jason's trying to get some barbecue. We're going to see. And George as well. All right. So look. Put up the slide on the COVID-19 updates. Let's get into this in case the internet decides to go south on us again. Here are the statistics, right? 2,322 confirmed cases across the county. Look at the heat map as well. We continue to say, remember the number of people in the San Antonio metropolitan area. We're talking it's almost 2 million people in the Bexar County area. The city of San Antonio, obviously about a million and a half. 2,322 confirmed cases. We're not, look, any case and any death is absolutely horrible, right? We don't want to live in this world where we think any one death, it should be mocked or dismissed or anything of the sort. None of that is right. But when you look at these stats, and this is the number one thing, right? The city council always talks about running on data and confirmation through the numbers, right? Here you go. We see exactly what we're looking at, and the stats are speaking to not that large of an increase in San Antonio. And I think a lot of that, look, the cities that have had a lot of struggles in the country are compact, dense cities, right? New York City, obviously the worst city, frankly, right now across the planet, right? We're talking across the earth itself. New York City has suffered the most, but that's a compact, dense city, people living in compact areas like that. San Antonio is not like that. San Antonio has a wide spread out metropolitan area, multiple municipalities, square mile, you name it. San Antonio is huge, right? We always joke that it's the biggest small town there is in the country because that's San Antonio. But that's given us an ability to have this separation that makes a lot of sense, unless you're on 1604, 410 at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Then you're really close to your neighbors. But other than that, San Antonio is a huge city, right? So we are a positive when it comes to our social distancing efforts. Plus, San Antonians tend to answer the call and do what's right to take care of their neighbors and their friends, in spite of whatever the hell is coming out of City Hall. So 2,300, you got that graphic, 2,322 cases back up. Ever hospitalized is at 323, 73 currently on a ventilator. And if you look at the heat map, you're starting to see it spread out a little bit more evenly, but the darker the red are the locations where we're seeing the cases across the city. The gender cases are split now both in who is getting the coronavirus, COVID-19, and the deaths by gender as well. And then if we go to the next slide, there's a few further updates right here. The online screening tool, by the way, sanantonio.gov has all this out there. You can go out, query this information, and find out where we're at real time. And you can start to understand what's going on across the city. 77,000 online screenings. Now, the online screening is nothing more than 10 to 12 questions. It asks you about your temperature. Are you coughing? Do you have a headache, body ache, blah, 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 blah. Have you come into contact? Have you traveled? And then it gives you a response back, kind of scores you, and then either reassures you, 41,000 people almost, that they should not get tested, or testing recommended at 37,000 folks. But again, we're in flu season, sinuses and allergy season. A lot of these folks are calling in and just double checking. The city is testing widely across the city at this point. It's getting better. You can get tested in multiple manners. Even if you don't have symptoms, they're coming with the testing if you're worried or concerned, so you can get it done. Hotline calls at almost 30,000 with testing and other exposure concerns. And you can see the calls by day down there as well. This information wasn't always available from the city, but it has ramped up as citizens demanded it, frankly, right? And one thing we're noticing across the country is that it's not really the politicians that are calling for the reopening, it's the people. And it was evenly split there for a while. But I think more folks are now starting to say it's time to get back to work and reopen this up while adhering to social distancing practices and taking care of each other. But people have to get back to work. Life has to get back to normal to some extent. We're going to talk about that here in a little bit. But the stats are speaking for themselves. I think we've got one more that's going to pop up too. Is there one more little slide? Yeah, there it is right there. So some progress indicators. Now, look. Ron convened 2 working groups to turn San Antonio back on. And if Ron Nirenberg is famous for anything, he's famous for the fact he can committee the hell out of everything. If he's got an opportunity to form a committee, he's going to do it. And the beauty of committees for him, and leaders who feel they got to create committees for everything because they can't make a decision on their own, when they create all these committees, what they're doing is they're abdicating their responsibility, right? So Ron can just look to the Committee on Economic Recovery and say, well, that's the committee recommendation and we're taking it. And here's the committee recommendation on housing. And here's the committee recommendation on health. When you committee everything, right? And City Hall has so many task force and committees. We always joke that they need a task force just to track their task forces. So there's tons of them. So in doing that, what you do is you are abdicating a lot of your authority that you were elected by the people to exercise. Not to make, look, 2 types of politicians in the world. One that goes down there and says, you elected me to make the decisions and I'm doing it for you. And the other one is I carry the message. I got elected to come down here and send the message and bring the message every day. Ron Nirenberg is the politician that goes down there and says, I'm going to tell you what to do. And I was elected to make these calls and I'm going to do them on their own. Because if you notice one thing, every one of these briefings, how many other city council members are with him? 0. It's always Ron, and it's always Ron in front of the camera with his sidekick Nelson. And well, maybe Ron's the sidekick to Nelson's lead. But no, with Ron, when Nelson wears the little ascot thing he's got going on, he looks like the sidekick. But Ron is not including anybody else in these decisions. And Councilman Clayton Perry was on the show a couple weeks ago, and he said exactly that. The council members do not know what's happening until 30 minutes or an hour before these laws, ordinances, and restrictions are announced. Nobody knows until Ron comes along and says, oh, by the way, here, we're doing this in 30 minutes. I need your vote. So those council members are elected by us. They represent us. So when you ignore a council member, you're in essence ignoring 155,000 residents because that's the voice. And all those briefings they have, I'm sorry, every district in this city is completely different. Every council member is completely different. They represent the way they lead their community, completely different. The demographics, socioeconomic, the financial, all of that wrapped in. The cultural differences, district to district, need to be represented in the decision making, and they're not. And you can tell, you don't have to take my word for it, no council member is ever there. It's always just Ron talking with Nelson, being masters of the universe, trying to lead the community, right, out of this. And in essence, the people now are saying, hey man, it's time to get back to work because if we don't get back at it, we have problems. So getting back at it means a lot of things to different people. We're going to talk to that in a little bit. But those last stats are very important. Pull that one slide up real quick. I want to show some trend lines right there. Look at the previous 14 days of reported onsets. So there is a trend that is moving down, right? And then you're also looking at current positive patients. You see a slight little uptick right there as well. But don't forget, the responsibility for a lot of these numbers also falls on the Bexar County Jail. So the jail reports heavy cases of coronavirus. It goes into the overall totals, and you will see these increases that should freak you out. So if you look outside the jail, the numbers are even better. But when we house people in that jail, one person goes in that jail and is patient 0 for coronavirus. Before you know it, you got 400 people in the jail with COVID-19. And that's a problem. And all prisoners should be treated humanely. We're not going to get into that fight or argument. But the point is, you're locked up for a reason, and you're in there. You earned it. You earned it. So they are getting exposed to it in there for a lot of different reasons. So we have to be very careful in the numbers and the data, right? Treat the jail with respect. But those numbers are actually separate to me. We should take what's happening in jail and move it over here and think about what that really means because it's clouding the overall numbers, which are showing positive trend lines, even though the state's opening back up. So as testing ramps up, state's opening back up, we're going to see this mix back and forth now, right, of slight increases in cases. We can expect there to be more cases in San Antonio. Is it going to go a little bit higher? It may very well, because as we test, we find more. And as we start to test for antibodies as well, we're going to also see more, right? We're going to find out that this disease has been around, like we've been talking about, since January, since December, right? People are already going to have it. And those numbers, and we're going to talk about this one in a second because I read something very interesting today about states combining those who have tested positive from an antibody case and those who are testing positive from being currently infected with COVID-19. And it's conflating numbers. It's making things look worse as we combine the two. But as we test more in San Antonio, we're going to see that number come up. And don't be afraid that you run around and just because you can go get your hair cut now, the world's going to fall off the face of the... Get out of here, man. It's not going to happen. We've got problems, and there are certain things we have to do. We talk about this every week. Practice your damn social distancing. It works. People are doing it. You got to continue to do that. The masks have been called off by the governor. You're not going to get fined by the city of San Antonio. You're not going to get stopped. I don't care what Ron Nirenberg or Nelson Wolff tell you. They're not. They have no power over any of it, right? So this is what happens with Ron Nirenberg's words on masks. It doesn't matter. Now, do I wear a mask when I go into QT to get my Coke Zero? Yeah, I'm going to do it. So for me, it's okay. I don't have a problem with it. I don't know who the hell's in QT. I'm standing next to that man and some dude is right here next to me breathing down my neck. I don't know where that cat has been, right? So I am not. I'm like, look, I do want to protect my family. I want to be safe. So I wear the mask to make sure that I'm doing that for both the citizens around me and the family I go home to. And it's okay. It's a choice. You can make the choice. And that's the beauty of where I think Nirenberg and Wolff have stepped way the hell over the line. They've gone over the line because they don't know when to stop. And you are destroying the city and the economy, and the people have fought back and pushed back on it. And that's what's changing across the country. It's not that all of a sudden politicians have grown this courage all of a sudden. They have a spine out of nowhere. No. In fact, Ron and Nelson are pushing back. If Governor Abbott wasn't setting these goals and expectations to open Texas back up, Ron and Nelson would still be in the caveman mentality, sitting over there telling everybody what the hell not to do while they're over at Cappy's eating snapper. Okay? Let's be honest here. Nelson just admitted it. I'm telling you to stay home. Man, I love my snapper at Cappy's. It was fantastic. I went to La Fonda, man. It was great. I was driving down the street the other day. It was fantastic. They're not doing what they're telling you to do. And that's why people have lost trust in the system. And we don't even believe the media to begin with, right? I mean, we don't trust the media. Nobody does. Fake news is legitimate. Right? Fake news matters. And people have a right to say what the hell they believe and get out there and make it happen. So Nelson and all them cronies, they're doing the best they can, right? And Ron, I don't know. Look, I'll say this 100 times over. When the pandemic started, I'm a political guy too, so I like talking politics. When the pandemic started, I think Ron did a decent job. I'm going to be honest with you. You know why? You know why I think he did a decent job? His temperament. He's boring. I just gave him a backward. He's boring. He's very soothing. He shows no energy and doesn't communicate well. So what that led to, though, was this overarching thing, right? Where as he's coming out and presenting the facts of coronavirus at the beginning of this pandemic, what he was doing was a right temperament for that moment because people were afraid. And here comes Ron, Mr. Facts and ideology. I'm going to sit here and be very clean and deliberate about what I'm doing. And yes, it does matter. We have to be very careful. Coronavirus is spelled C-O-R-O. I mean, it was that basic, and his temperament fit the day. But what happens is over time, right? Over time, he has continued down the path of restriction. He's continued down the path of not listening to the people. He's doing things that he's telling other people not to do. And it has flipped the other way around now. And I think over time, they're rebelling to an extent. The entire country's rebelling against the authority right now. But in Ron's case, it's turned into an overarching, you know what, it's too much. And when you don't listen to it, he was quoted the other day as saying, we're never going to return back to what we were. That's because Ron Nirenberg doesn't like who we were before coronavirus. He doesn't know San Antonio. So it's easy for him to stand up there and say to do these things, and it's okay, and we're going to change who we are. We're going to turn ourselves into San Francisco because it's a thing to do, right? We need to be Little Austin, right? That's okay for him, right? Boston Ron. That's what we used to call him at council, Boston Ron. He's okay to do that because he doesn't want us to go back to who we were. San Antonio is survived for 300 years before Ron Nirenberg. It's going to survive for another 300 years after Ron Nirenberg or anybody else who's the damn mayor. So at that point, what we've seen is now his temperament, if you ask me, has moved to the arrogance. And in that arrogance points when he calls citizens ignorant, he called them fools, and he began to put himself in a position not of leader, but in a authority position of, okay, now I'm tired of you not following and listening. Now I'm going to tell you what to do. And the problem with that whole mentality, I was talking to somebody this morning, another political friend about it this morning. I said, started great, turned it into, you know what? He's starting to make some mistakes to now where it's a wash. So for him politically, he loves to be on the camera. It makes sense. He wants to be out there all the time, and it's good for him, and it's good for his name ID and all this other stuff. But people are going to hold you accountable. Your face and all the things you're doing, right, with you and Nelson, it's going to create this rebellion and atmosphere of, I'm done with it. And if you continue to not listen, today they extended 11-0. The council extended the restrictions through June 4th. Now, 11-0 isn't indicative of where the city is as a whole, but it's indicative of where the council is. 11-0 indicates, hey, man, we're all on board. Even Clayton Perry, our good friend, he voted in favor of extending the restrictions. We cannot get there as a city. Now, the city tried to say, hey, we're mirroring the state of Texas's orders. No, you're not. No, you're not. You've trashed Governor Abbott and those restrictions every chance you had in an effort to create your own metrics and measurements. For instance, the city won't open pools up. The governor has allowed it. The city kept the mask until the governor overrode it. There's little things that the city is going to try to do to keep this home rule. San Antonio is a home rule municipality, meaning they can make their own rules and laws by the Texas Constitution. So the governor, though, comes in and overrides all of that, and the city begins to nitpick at what they can or cannot do because they want to have their own rules, right, over themselves. When the city's in trouble and needs help, they'll go to Austin for the dollars and the money. But for right now, the city is doing all they can to hang on to their authority to make these decisions. And it looks foolish, right? It starts to look foolish when you can't work in tandem with the governor of the state of Texas. I don't give a damn if he's a Republican, Independent, Green Party, Democrat. It makes no difference. Libertarian, I had to say, I throw that one in there for a couple of you that are in the city. Whatever you are, you should be able to work together. But it's not happening, right? So Ron's off on his path over here with Nelson and his band of merry friends, and they're spending money in that. You want to talk about what you should be concerned about? They have $270 million from the federal government in the CARES Act that they're planning and plotting right now on how to spend. And remember these words. Ron Nirenberg said he doesn't want to take San Antonio back to what it is. We're not going back to what we were. I don't know what that means, but I do know it scares the crap out of me because what we were before coronavirus was great, right? I love San Antonio. People come to this town and they love this community, right? Because it's a culture thing, it's a food thing, it's a history thing, it's a family thing, it's a faith thing. All these pieces wrapped up into one ball of good stuff. That's San Antonio. And when you grow up here your entire life, you know that. I'm not saying you need to live here your entire life to be the mayor of San Antonio. Not at all. But I'm saying you better understand who we are. All right? And you better understand that it's okay to be San Antonio and not try to be something you're not. That's where this city is going to be successful if we can get past these things and make our own decisions for ourselves. City council needs to listen to what's happening in the community. Heavy testing, get after the antibody game, contact tracing. I know that scares a lot of people, right? We don't want you on your phone getting tracked, and we're not going to do Bill Gates and put a little tracking device in your wrist and know where you're at every minute. We don't need to go that route with it. But contact tracing matters because if we can find out who you talk to, isolate them, get them out of the way, we're in a solid position to move forward and make things happen. So let's just continue to call into question. People think people who question authority are crazy conspiracy theorists, right? Like, oh man, woo, Brockhouse, and all these people come down to City Hall and say, hey, I don't agree with you, Ron. You're a crazy conspiracy theorist and you hate this city. You're a racist and all these things. That's not. When you question authority, you are doing the number one thing that formed our government in the first place 300 years ago, right? 300 years ago or 400 years ago when people stepped foot on this land, right? They came in here 300 years ago, the city was founded on an authority piece built on faith to say, I'm going to do what I want for my country, my family, my community, whatever stood there. They stood and laid ground here. And that's what's built this place for 300 years, man. And not one person or pandemic's going to change that unless we let the government get away with those things. And for you to call it into question doesn't mean you're a conspiracy. You're not crazy, all right? There's some crazy dudes out there. I'm not going to lie to you. There's some crazy stuff. And some things I thought were crazy turn out to be true, like Joe Biden and Burisma. I'm going to get to that one a little bit later. But in reality, though, we have a responsibility to call into question our government. And if the media tries to stop you, right? Rivard Report, Express News. I'm only going to say those two because those are two of the biggest hacks there are, right? Especially the Express News. I would not line my dog cage, my dog kennel, with the Express News paperwork of any legitimate belief. So they are Ron's hacks. So if they call you into question, you know you're doing good. You know, hey, man, when they write bad about you, you're in, man. But don't let people push you down and your ideas go away. So let's get after it, because that COVID-19 stuff, man, means business. And we don't know where we're at. We don't know where we're going to be in the fall. There could be a resurgence. There could be problems. If you give 1 inch of your personal liberties away, be prepared to give away a foot. The minute you give it up, you ain't getting it back. It's not coming back. I don't care how far you try to fight for it. I don't care what you're willing to do. You give up a personal liberty, it is the end of your personal liberty. And man, I'm sorry, Texan, that's as Texan as against. Texans are guns, their property rights, right? Their ability to vote and get the hell out of my life and leave me as much of my property taxes as I can save. I want my little piece of my dollar to stay with me. That's Texas in 4 little talking points. And San Antonians of any nature, Hispanics, any color, white, black, you name it, man. This community, they all believe that way, right? So from the COVID-19 wrap-up, that's what we're looking at. Those are the problems right now. City struggling to reopen. Ron and Nelson never talking anything good, only talking negativity, restriction, and all those on lines. Committees that we don't know, right? Council members not involved. These committee members gauging this reopening of our city. The governor going another path. The national news media trashing the president. This division is all over the place. So it's on us. Question it, get after it, and let's understand what the facts are and do the best we can. Man, then vote whatever you believe. It's okay. That's the beauty of the country. I can sit here on the other side of you. A dude earlier posted, man, Greg, are you happy with the rabble-rousing you're doing? Yeah, I am. He goes, how do you text it? How do you sleep at night? And I messaged him right back, like a baby. I fall asleep like a baby. I got no problems falling asleep at night. You know why? Because I don't give a damn. I know I can say what I think. And if as long as I believe it, right, it's true, it's in my heart, and that's what I believe, and I'm being honest with you, then I don't give a damn at that point. I've done my part of the equation. My part, fight, be truthful and honest, give my opinion, and then cut it right there and be willing to win or lose on that stand. And that's where we are at with coronavirus right now. We all have to push back. We all have to say this is where we are, and can we do the things that matter most? Someone at the end of the day in politics wins or loses. That's politics now. It is what it is. I've lost and I've won. And at the end of the day, I add up and say, hey, man, I did the best I could, and I was truthful, and I said what I believed, right? And if you do that, you're going to be right on point. So Ray Rodriguez with It's the Truth. Politicians like Ron and Nelson simply love to fearmonger. Steve Beeler, you are on point with that. This is a total fearmongering game. That's all this has been. 100%. Herd immunity. I love that. I love that word. Herd immunity is what we need, no different than any other virus. I got a so right Greg Brockhouse right there. There won't be a cure or vaccine for a while. Do we sit at home for the rest of the year? Man, Anne Marie, you would hit the nail on the head. At some point, you got to get back out and live. And you could die from coronavirus, and you could die from starvation.
They both hurt.
They end up dead. One faster than the other, but you can watch your kids not eat because you're unemployed. Now, you can live on the government dime and take $600 extra bucks home a week and never go back to work. You could do that. But how long is that going to last? And we can't print trillion-dollar coins to keep everybody afloat for a year. You got to go back. And that's the fallacy, I think, in a lot of elected officials right now. They don't have the courage to do it. They don't have the courage with the effective work that you have to do. Testing, antibodies, vaccines, all that work over here. They'd rather live in the fearmonger. You know why? If they get you to be afraid, they can take your personal liberty away, and they can layer in a policy that will forever change the way you are as an American citizen. That is it. Remember 9/11. 9/11 came along, changed our personal liberties. We had the Patriot Act, took away your personal liberties. We were investigating people, phone calls, you name it. We were in such a state of fear, rightly so. Such a state of fear. The government seized an opportunity. FISA courts. Look, man, all that stuff from way back in 9/11 led to Donald Trump and the FISA court warrant on the Steele dossier. Remember that? You remember that? The DNC and that Chris Steele dossier, right, that got the president, this whole thing started with Trump impeachment. It all came from 9/11 and fear and FISA courts and warrants behind the scenes and a lower government threshold to investigate you. Now here we are days later, years later, right? We're sitting and looking at, again, another opportunity where we see government attempting to scare us into giving up personal liberties. Man, we can't do it. We got to stop it. And that's my little, I guess I kind of went off on that rant for a little while. I mean, sorry, man. I told you, I was a little pissed off. All right, I had a tough day at work, and here I came on that conversation. But you got to, dude, you got to get into it. If you don't, and I'm not saying, look, I'm not that guy that believes, hey, man, if you don't vote, shut up. You're an American citizen. You got a right to say whatever the hell you want to say. That's it. I mean, I don't care if you vote or not. That's on you. I want you to vote. And more importantly, I want you to be an educated voter. Whatever you believe. The guy that said, hey, man, you're a rabble-rouser. How do you sleep at night? You know what? Hey, man, I'm saying what I think. And by the way, you're still following me. If you hate me that much, unfollow. Like, you're the one following me. It's okay. Go away. It's not the end of the day. Nobody's won an election 100-0. So it's okay. We can disagree and still be friends. But that cat's going to sit over there and be like, oh, man, no, blah. No, let's remember, right? At the end of the day, we all have an opportunity. And this COVID-19 thing is we're going to see with some of these screenshots. Let's start flopping them up here. We're going to go kind of random, just start at 5 and move on up. But we're going to go through some of the news of the day, and you can see what's happening and understand that these little things, there's good and bad happening. So we're going to cover both of them. I just like this one right here because HEB, no matter what, even in a pandemic, that company's like killing it. Look at that happy employee down there. He's been exposed to COVID-19 every day of the week. That guy looks like he's happier than all hell. I don't know about that girl pushing those baskets without a mask, so worried. HEB extending $2 pay increase for hourly employees through June 21st. Good news right there. Texas Proud Pay.
HEB should train the government.
Do you know what? HEB should train the government. That's it. You know, Salo, that HEB should train the government. Salo, you're exactly right. What else? What's up next? Thank you, HEB, as always. When will the polls open? I wanted to make sure you knew the polls will open on the 29th. That was where the order stood from the state of Texas. The governor has worked, has mandated it, but of course, the city of San Antonio does own pools, and they can restrict access to the pools. The plan is being worked on right now, according to Mayor Nuremberg. So pools aren't open yet. There are some good pools in San Antonio, man. There's some near the house where we live. But those things, man, look, man, it's going to be 105 degrees this summer, man. We're going to kill it, right? We got the swimming issue. We got the murder hornets. We got those rabid Easter bunnies, or those rabid bunnies out of California. The world is a storm right now. We need our pools, Ron.
Yeah.
All right. I'm about to get a text from my wife to behave. States don't agree on how to determine when it's safe to reopen. You're damn right they don't agree. Now, some of that you can pin on Trump. Look, if we're going to call balls and strikes, we got to call them across the board. The president has been pretty lax in allowing states to make their calls. For somebody who is the commander in chief, who's I'm going to fire you, right? The old apprentice. He has really given the ball to the states and let them run. Now, that's a federalist position, right? States' rights. But some of what we've seen is, local officials weigh different data points, and the data points have been confusing, like states including antibody positives with COVID-19 positives, so those numbers actually look worse. The CDC's been a part of that as well. But as we're seeing with that kind of statistic right there, with that story, what that's telling you is that every state is different right now. You could turn on and see Florida going buck wild at Miami Beach, and then you go over and look at California, and everybody's in lockdown mode over there, and they're saying they're going to do that for the rest of the year, right? Governor Newsom and Mayor Garcet, they're saying we're not coming out of lockdown for months. That place is a ghost town. No, how people are going to live or survive, I don't know. But that's California for you, man. Those guys that is San Francisco. What's we got next? Where you go? Let's go, just go random here. Oh, we got to do this drawing thing. I got to play this song in a minute. I promised you I would. Landlords can't evict their tenants, so they're shutting off utilities and threatening them instead. One of the things, right, we're going to learn. And San Antonio last week, the council voted against, in a defeat for Ron Nuremberg, voted against limiting evictions, right? We already have eviction processes in place. There's notifications. The council tried to extend it, led by Roberto Trevino. A noble cause. I understand. But he attempted to do it and he lost the vote. What people don't understand, though, is the people who own those homes, people think they're greedy, money-making millionaires, and every property owner's killing it, and they're rich, and they're stepping on the little man. That's really not true. And when you're in a business world like that, and you own property, you own businesses, you're cutting payroll, you're doing all you can to keep things afloat, keep things moving. You're not a millionaire. I mean, you're not killing it. Some are, of course they are. But at the end of the day, those people have mortgages to meet too, and they're not getting their bills forgiven. They're not. So this whole chain from the top bottom is really struggling. But what's happening there is cutting off utilities and stuff. One of the things I think that we're going to learn as we come out of this entire thing is what kind of community are we, right? Because boy, man, you remember, have you read that book, Lord of the Flies? Man, when you're isolated and the game is on you and your friends, right? And it's survival of the fittest, people do tend to show their real colors. And look, I'm not saying, if I'm a property owner, I'm not sure I'm turning the utilities off on a family and babies. I get people need to be evicted. Man, that's a tough line to cross. But I also get I have bills to pay. So one of the things we have to re-examine about ourselves is, who are we in the decisions we made during this? And I've learned some stuff. I'll be honest with you. There's some social safety net things we must ensure are in place, period. Predominantly around me, food. We've got food insecurity issues, food desert issues that we have to solve, right? Food is this common denominator that I don't care if you're the homeless guy on Petranco in 1604 hanging out on the bridge, coming out asking for a sandwich, or you're eating like Nelson Wolff, the snapper with Cheryl Scully. You need food to live. It is a basic human subsistence right. I mean, it's a basic human right. Food is. Let's be honest here. We can't, not to tell people we don't have food is an issue. And when we make national news with 10,000 people lined up at the food bank, we've got problems, right? So as a policymaker, policymaker, I got to sit there and say, hey man, I got to do better at that. I got to do better at food insecurity issues. We got to do better at the digital divide. Our kids can't go to school if the school's online if they don't have internet. School districts right now are struggling to get kids online so that they can finish their school year. That's broken. And I don't give a damn if their parents are Republican or Democrat, LGBT, Chinese, Hispanic, if they came from England. I don't care who they are. I don't care what their parents are, what they did. I don't care if they're in DeBary County Jail. It makes no difference what their parents are. If a child is struggling with internet access and they can't get to school and get their education, we're broke. So we got to fix that. So food, digital divide, our public safety officers as well. That exposure rate, there's supplies for our public safety officers. We've seen New York City Police Department seen a major rash of COVID-19 and coronavirus cases. So equipment for our first responders. All that's starting to meld now. And also the job creation game. Coming out of this for San Antonio, I don't think this is one of those things where we spend millions upon millions to create all these freebies and giveaways. I think we have to think about senior citizens. Oh, look, Betty Eckert beat me to it. Food for senior citizens. Thank you, Betty. So I think we got to take all that money and we got to think about job creation, right? Because at the end of the day, man, what are going to get people back to living is a job that makes sense for them and people to make a few extra bucks. That's where it's going to be. Job creation, workforce education, not transportation and Green New Deal. And can I make sure that the ozone's exactly where it needs to be and all this other garbage that we're hearing out of the progressive far left. That stuff is dead in the water. The Green New Deal, dead. We have money right now, enough green to maybe feed our community. We need to make sure that happens. We need to make sure the streets and sidewalks and the police officers and firefighters are out there. It's a back to basics century coming our way. Back to basics. Not Connect SA and these massive transportation plans and billions here, billions there, bond debt over here, bond debt over there. Days are gone. Now we got to think about how do we make sure that if we go down south again and something goes south, how in the world do we feed people? Where does that money come from? Where are those stores and reserves in the city funding for those emergency backup plans, the Emergency Operations Center? Where's it going to come from testing? There's real basic things now that have to happen in our city. So we have to look at ourselves at the end of this and say, okay, what could I have done better? And what was I wrong about as an elected official? And we do need, and I get it. A lot of my followers are, die hard as they come Republicans. 100% on board with you on fiscal conservatism and making sure people, right, you get government out of your life, right? That as much as possible. 100% with you. But we have to also examine, we don't leave people behind. And that now takes an added piece for me. So how do we not leave people behind? That's a question we got to find ways to answer it. And it's not giving people a handout that they're going to get stuck to for the rest of their lives and never get up and make something happen for themselves. First off, that's not San Antonio. Second of all, we have to figure out how we feed, how we digitize this community, and how we make sure that we're doing things that help people grow after this. So self-examination is going to be huge. How we responded during the pandemic and how we go forward is going to measure us all. So what's up next there? Hey, man, there it is again. I don't know about you, but I'm going to go sit in an Airbnb. I'm down with that. Not New Orleans. No, I'm just kidding. That was for my wife. She's definitely going to text me now. everybody knows everybody knows I love New Orleans. So actually, yeah. I love New Orleans, just not Airbnbs. No, that's a bad joke. I'm going to go to Airbnb, man. You got to get after that because those places are clean, they're businesses, and people are actually sheltering in place in a lot of Airbnbs. So I wanted to show that one too, just in case. What's up? What do we got next? Let's start rotating through these as we're running near the end of the game here. Southeast Side Parks and Lakes to open for Memorial Day weekend. Keep an eye out on that, brothers. It's Memorial Day weekend. I will be doing Murph at 0500 on Monday morning. Absolutely dying to do my CrossFit workout. My wife texted me and said, you can do it. It's a bunch of other old dad bod guys. You'll be fine. That's what my wife texts me.
Wow.
She's 100% true. That's 100% accurate. It is what it is. Hey, I embrace it. I do CrossFit once a year. I go run a mile. I do 100. I go do 100 push-ups, 200 sit-ups, and 300 squats. And then I go run another mile, and then I get taken to the hospital and die of COVID-19. Because, they're not dying anything. Everything now is death by COVID-19. Yeah, everything. Okay, hey, the zoo is open back up, man. Get out there and support the zoo. Starting May 29th to 31st, the zoo is coming back up for pass holders. May 29th to May 3rd. Oh, wow. You can drive. The wife took the kids through the drive-through zoo. Yes, the drive-through zoo is great. She loved it. The kids loved it too. Get out on the drive-through zoo. Get out there, have some fun, but support the zoo. Man, it's a wonderful place for our children. It's legendary in the community. But the zoo is opening back up for pass holders on the 29th. Let's be happy about that. We're good. I'm enjoying that one. What else we got? Oh, man. What to expect when you visit your salon and barbershop. So, you know what? Be prepared to wear your mask. Be prepared to be ready to get your hair cut and be quiet. Don't talk. Make sure they're cleaning their clippers. I do that anyways. Like, I go in there, man, I'm mad paranoid when I sit in that chair. Did you clean those clippers? All right. Who sat in this chair before? When was your last appointment? What'd you have for lunch today? So, did you take my temperature? So, yeah, but barbershop's opening back up, and thank God, none too soon. I did get a haircut a little bit. Yeah, what I needed to get was like a chemical peel on this face of mine. What's going on here?
There's a Biden video. You want it?
Hold on, what we got next?
Well, okay, that Biden video is next.
Let's talk about Joe Biden, people. We're going to wrap this up. We're getting close to the end here. All right, can we play this Joe Biden video? Now, hold on. Let me set the stage here. Crossfire hurricane. I think this is going to be news. Salo and I talk about this one. We love the conspiracy theories because we think they're great. We laugh at them, and it's cool to say, hey, man, I wonder if that's true. I really wonder if Obama is from Kenya. But then you're like, that's ridiculous, right? So you start thinking all these things, and they're crazy theories, and whatever. Your political affiliation either makes you more or less inclined to believe in the conspiracy theory. Let's be honest, right? But this Biden thing is legitimate, all right? We know. Susan Rice sent an email to herself the last day in office saying, President Obama, Joe Biden, James Comey, we all talked about trying to entrap General Flynn to either lie about his Russian dealings with the Ambassador Kislyak, or we get him in trouble, period, and we can continue to not divulge Russian information to the Trump administration. There was a coordinated meeting. You can't hide that. I don't care if you're Republican or Democrat. That meeting took place. Susan Rice memorialized it in a personal email, and that gave proof that at some point the president and Vice President Joe Biden were involved in it. Now here comes the Russian investigation, and of course we find out after years there is no Russian interference. There's no Russian coordination with Trump. But there was Russian interference in the election. We know the Russians are doing it, man. Everybody's messing with everybody. That's how this world works right now. But we find out, right? We get a clear understanding that the government of Ukraine was in coordination with Joe Biden early on as well, at the end of Obama's term, and then early on afterwards, that they were talking in conjunction with Hunter Biden, the illustrious Hunter Biden. There was coordination and contact about these quid pro quo measures, which just so happened to be what the president of the United States was impeached on. So Donald Trump was impeached for offering a quid pro quo to the Ukrainian president, saying, if you do this, I'll release the aid. And what he was doing was, in his opinion, he's striking a deal, man, making things happen. But lo and behold, Joe Biden as well in the past had his own quid pro quo. And we're going to listen to this, and I'll recap it in a second. But play the quid pro quo. You got it? It's just audio video. It's a picture, but it's an audio on it. So listen to it. Got to pay attention to this one.
The Situation Room is...
Hello. Joe Biden.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. Your call has been convened.
Petro, can you hear me?
Yeah, now it's better.
I can hear you better too. I'm sorry.
No problem.
You were saying, I missed what you were saying.
Yeah. So, first of all, I'm very happy to hear you. Second, this is very valuable for me that you find out a time for me even in Minnesota. And I'm dreaming some days to be with you in Minnesota.
That's easy, man. I tell you what, I'd like to be with you instead of Minnesota right now, but go ahead.
The third, I have some positive and negative news. I will start with the positive news.
Well, good.
Joe, I have a second positive news for you. Yesterday, I met with the General Prosecutor Shokin.
Yes.
And despite of the fact that we didn't have any corruption charges, we don't have any information about he doing something wrong, I especially asked him, no, it was the day before yesterday, I especially asked him to resign as his position as a state person, and despite of the fact that he has a support in the parliament. And as a finish of my meeting with him, he promised me to give me the statement on resignation. And 1 hour ago, he bring me the written statement of his resignation.
Great.
And this is my second step for keeping my promises.
I agree.
All right. Politics sometimes is really awesome. So comical is a great word. That's right. Comical is the word for politics oftentimes. So Donald Trump, quid pro quo, told Ukraine to investigate the Bidens or else he'd withhold money. Quid pro quo alleged, impeachment, Senate held a trial, did not convict him. And of course, everybody forgets impeachment now. We're stuck in the middle of COVID-19. So impeachment seems like forever ago. But if you hear that, Joe Biden, quid pro quo. Now, we all know Joe Biden's son, Hunter Biden, was making $50,000 to $100,000 a month for his oil business. He had no oil industry background. Donald Trump's they're going to have a field day with this stuff. This is going to be a brutal campaign. It will be an absolutely brutal campaign. But listen to that video. That audio is very clear. Very clear. He had to fire. And by the way, the Ukrainian president clearly said, we got rid of him even though he had no problems. He said he had no issues, but we got rid of him anyways at the request of the government. Of course, Joe Biden says, you got it. And Joe Biden has been filmed in other interviews in the past saying that he told the Ukrainians, either do this or we're not going to support you, right? And so the quid pro quo, I'm telling you, anytime a politician gets stuck where he's doing one thing and saying it over here, saying don't do this and doing this over, it's a bad slippery slope. Joe Biden, I think, while a good and honorable man, we get that. Let's give the man his credit, served well. He's not been the worst politician in history. Let's be honest here. He's got a decent record. We don't know anything about this Tara Reade stuff. I mean, everybody deserves their fair day in court. There's a lot of information flying around, a lot of stuff. But where you get into trouble is when you are recorded having those conversations with people. So we're going to learn a lot about Crossfire Hurricane a little bit more. If you'll notice, this doesn't pop up on CNN, and it rarely pops up on MSNBC at all. They won't cover it. They won't cover it because they are democratically controlled media outlets. So you have to go to Fox News, and of course people say, well, Fox News is Republican controlled, but you got to go there. You got to go out on YouTube. You got to find these bits of information and understand this stuff is crooked, man. And they took all that, they turned it into impeachment. They got rid of General Michael Flynn, and now those charges against him are being dropped. His life was ruined. A decorated soldier, right? The National Security Advisor, life ruined, and it turns out set up all along by the FBI and the Obama administration. The proof is coming. Now, that's not a conspiracy theory anymore. You can say a lot about conspiracy theories, but right now, it's not a conspiracy theory. There are bits and facts now starting to line up that say these things are really happening. Keep an eye on it. It's coming our way. We got to be very careful. There's one other piece I want to pop up to that on deck at City Hall. Can you put that up there? I think I had an image in there, a JPEG for on deck at City Hall.
Is it that one?
No, it's a JPEG. It says we're gonna get those memes in a second. On deck at City Hall.
Nope. It's not in this.
What?
It's not in this file.
Oh man, come on, bro. Hold on. Let's see here. We're about to wrap up, but every week now. What'd you say, dude? It's right at the bottom.
It's not in this.
Oh my goodness.
On deck on CD Hall. Nope.
On deck is at the bottom of the list. Scroll all the way down. I'm looking at it right there in the Dropbox. I want to show the peoples.
On deck the CD Hall.
All right, hold on.
Oh, here it is. Okay.
You got it?
Yeah. Here we go. I think so.
I proved him wrong.
Yes, you did. Hold on.
Get it up there.
Oh, they're PDFs.
No, one's a JPEG.
What's the JPEG? Okay, this one.
Yes, put it up there. Boom. Okay, every week I'm sending this out. So we got to get informed. We got to find out what's happening. A lot of times our government sneaks things by in their meetings because we pay no attention to it. First of all, the meetings are at 2 o'clock on Wednesdays and 9 a.m. on Thursdays. Nobody's watching City Hall. I'm sorry. If you're, well, maybe now because everybody's at home. But if you're watching city council meetings, you need to get a life. Unless there is absolutely something that's very interesting to you on the agenda item, it will put you to sleep. I'm serious. I watch them. I need to get a life, so I could say that. But what I thought I would do is start to put out this information about key agenda items that are happening at council meetings, and there's boards and commission meetings as well. So the B session right there, if you look at that, on May 20th was held, and we'll send this out the first of the week. You can direct message me your email. I'm going to set up the Facebook page for it as well, the online, so you can opt into the e-blast. But look, here's an example. Agenda item 1, preliminary plan for use of the CARES Act Coronavirus Relief Fund. They discussed that on Wednesday, how they're going to spend the $270 million, and then I give you my read on it. Be on the lookout with this action item. Council prioritizes spending with the federal funds. We'll speak to how our community returns to normal, right? Will it be a slush fund for progressive projects or real community approach to small business and job revitalization? So not only do I give you the tidbit of information, I come back over the top with here's an opinion on the item. Today, of course, they extended the public health emergency on the agenda for May 21st. And they've also voted today to waive late payment fees on CPS Energy tariffs as well, so helping customers out. And then they did meet as well on the 19th. So Tuesday, they met on Pre-K for SA and discussed teacher retention, budget approvals, financial results from the audits. So good information. Thank you. You can take that one down. It's about ready to wrap up here. So good information that at least you know what's happening before it happens at City Hall. I'm going to launch those every Monday. It's called On Deck at City Hall. I'll put an opt-out in, and we'll set the Facebook page up. We'll set the website up. Very simple. I email it to you. It'll come from MailChimp, and it'll come from Greg Brockhouse, and you can sit there and read and see what's happening. If it interests you, let me know. Direct message me your email, and we'll get it done. Before we go into, all right, who's left watching? We still got 55 people watching, even after that garbage. All right. Even after the tech difficulties. All right, now we're going to play this song. I promised you. My wife's probably going to be like, Greg, what are you doing? I'm going to play this song. And if you know where this song came from, be ready, people. All right, where are we at? All right. 2 meals. Put that dinner graphic back up. We got it?
Yeah.
All right. Memorial Day backyard grill kits. Look at that list of food. Man, that's killer right there. 12-pack of mixed beer, some ready-to-grill asparagus, marinated ribeye steaks, sausage links, 2 meals, feeds 2 to 4, right? It's a $100 package. I'm giving it away right now to the first 2 people who can name where this song come from. It's ridiculous. I'm sorry I'm about to do this, but here it comes. Are you ready? Hold on. This was what motivated me today, people. All right, you can take that one off. And that's somebody calling me. That's not the song. Here's the song.
That was Knight Rider.
Be ready. Be prepared. It's Knight Rider. No, it's not Knight Rider. Look at Salo thought he won. Salo thought he won the prize. Here it is.
Try to be best, 'cause you're only a man.
Can you hear it, Charlie? What song is this movie from? Look at, she said Karate Kid. She got it. One more. Who puts Karate Kid on there? Karate Kid Chris Marty. Hold on.
Oh, don't do it. You had to go there.
All right. All right. I'm sorry. When the world is upside down. That's actually another song from Hamilton, the Broadway show. I don't know if everybody knows. Watch Hamilton. Absolutely awesome Broadway show. But the world's upside down. You got to have a little fun. And when fun needs you, you turn on Joe Bean Esposito and you play. Hey, look at her. Oh, my God. Look at Liz Hart's like, oh, my God. Put him in a body bag. You know what? Brian Pena, you can skip me. I just wanted to play. All right, Chris. Hello. Chris Marty's one of our sponsors. Who else said it? Who else? Go back up the list right there. Jason won. He won the burgers. Who? Karate Kid. Victoria Cavazos. Go back. Man, people knew this out. Oh my gosh.
Just revealed their age.
Yeah, all of you people who knew that song knew what put him in a body bag means. All right. All right, we're going to go back. Greg Redrig is keeping it real. Liz, you did grow up with that, as did I. In fact, I still think I look like the Karate Kid. I'm a Ralph Macchio kind of guy. I used to run around with my rat tail and gerbos at John Jay High School, and I'm going to admit it. I wore my capas and I was styling. So my capas, my swatch, my gerbo jeans, and my polo shirt. And I'm not going to lie to you, and I hung out at Fred's Fish Fry. And there was a line of people wanting to party with that guy. High school, that's what it was. So, look, we love you. We're going to go back. We'll send you the list on the two folks who win those meals. And we're going to get them delivered tomorrow. So I'm going to need your address to the two of you that were on there. And the Backyard Barbecue. You have to take a picture and send it to us when you barbecue that food. I ordered one. It's going to be fantastic. And it's a ton of fun. Jason Dady's a great chef. Legendary. And we're very thankful for that meal. It's going to be great. So wrap up before we go to memes. Get informed. Know what matters in your community to you. You have this little sphere of influence, and it's your front yard. It's your sidewalk, right? It's your driveway. It's your backyard. In that world, that's you. That box, that's you. That's on you. And if you don't understand what's happening within that, and the fact that the government is affecting every piece, every inch of that land, if you don't know that, then you've got to figure it out. Because here's the truth. I tell this to people about city council. When you wake up, and they interact with you every minute of the day, City Hall does. And I'm going to tell you how. And then we're going to go to memes and have some fun and close it out. Number one, you wake up in the morning. No, forget that. You're sleeping at night in the house. It's too hot, so you turn on the air conditioner to make it a little colder. The more you run that AC, especially in the summer, what happens to your CPS Energy bill, Salo? It goes up. Guess who owns CPS Energy? City of San Antonio. Guess what they do when you raise your rates and you spend more money CPS Energy? The city gets more money. The city owned. They're interacting with you. When they control the rates of CPS Energy, council members do. They own you. You go take a shower, but you let the water run for 5 minutes. Guess who owns SAWS? The higher your water bill, guess who gets more money every month from SAWS? The City of San Antonio and the San Antonio City Council. You get in your car, you walk out, you drive out on the street. The City of San Antonio is interacting with you. The stoplights, the police department, right? You need a birth certificate. You need a passport. Right? You need little bits of information about what's happening with your, your property taxes, right? Guess who's controlling all of these things? The government is around you interacting with you every minute of the day. Anytime you buy something, the city of San Antonio is interacting with you. You don't think about it, man. You go buy that drink at QT for 75 cents. That tax, that little 3 or 4 cents, guess where it's going? It's going to the city of San Antonio, man. That's your dollars, right? When you get those tax appraisals right now that are coming out that are showing drastic increases, guess who you're paying that to? A portion of that goes to the city of San Antonio, and then to Bexar County and Nelson Wolf and his merry band of folks out there spending our cash. Get involved. They're in it. Look, we all want to talk about Donald Trump and Greg Abbott and Ted Cruz and Nancy Pelosi. They're out there, yes, but they're not the ones affecting you the most day in, day out. They're not. It's City Hall. And do they align with what you believe, right, to be the highest and best use of our tax dollars, our community, our resources? If so, then stay with them. Vote with them. I'm okay with that. Scoreboard's a scoreboard, man. There's no better scoreboard in politics than a public vote. I'm okay with that. Having come off a tough election and lost myself, I'm cool with that. I understand what it means to come up short. But you also have to understand what it means to be an educated voter. Get out there and find out what matters to you. Your home, right? That lot, that piece of property, that dirt, that square, that's yours. Guard it with your vote and guard it with what you believe in. Because if you let it go, they're going to take it and they'll never give it back, man. And they'll keep taking. So, thank you. Let's go to memes, then we'll wrap it up quickly after that. I don't know. You didn't add any memes in here, did you? Oh, Salito. I just saw this one. Even celebrities have to wait in line at HEB. Dude, that's Mexican Elvis right there. He's a good dude. He is cool, but he's in there. And then this is Barton's Boozery on Marbach. Thanks a lot, China. Ron Nuremberg's going to come give you a ticket, Barton's Boozery. After 5 minutes of reading the news. Introverts watching extroverts freaking out. Pathetic. I just like that. The cat, I don't know. And of course, Terry Crews is the man. 2019, get off your phone. Go outside. 2020, get on your phone and stay inside. That's our world right now, man, right? The lazies are in charge. 2020 every second. But wait, there's more. He's got the blackest beard there in the history of mankind. Government, work from home, pilots. Hey, all due respect to pilots, we love you. There's the new hoarding edition card at HEB. Shopping for all your paranoid needs. I love this one. Thank God the virus can't move sideways. What? A la fregada. All right. That's how we block people in the 80s. Damn straight. You remember, hey, who remembers when you have to answer the call on the other line? And who remembers the dial back number? Remember that star 69? Yeah, dial it back. That's how we block people in the 80s. All right, we're on a roll here. Yeah, we know what those are. Kids don't today. You know why? They're playing Minecraft, man. They're stuck on the Xbox. I stabbed my... I'm sorry. Come on. I'm in trouble. This dog, I love this dog. Look at him. That can't be real, but it looks Photoshopped, but I had to show it anyways. Yeah, this is legit. Me trying to hold in a cough so people don't think I have the virus. Be honest with yourself. Wherever you're at, okay? Be completely honest with yourself. Wherever you're at, are you afraid to cough or sneeze? Hell yes. Because people are going to run you out of QT. Was that a cough? Is that Rona? Rona, you there? It didn't sound normal. Is that it? Is that all we got? Oh, yeah, no. You know what was open before it was ready? Jurassic Park. That's true, man. Life finds a way. And that's actually me right there. If that's husbands, okay, for the wives out there, right? That's actually true. That's how your husband acts, right? What actually happens versus how I'm going to narrate it. That is 100% me. That's my plans. There's 2020. Yep, I love this one. A picture of Earth before and after, your opinion. Brothers, sisters, we are specks in the afterbirth. We are literally a speck in the history of time. Let's not take ourselves so professionally. Trust us, we're health experts. Oh, God. Yeah. Thank you, Saulo, for that one. Who's that cat in the lower right-hand corner? All right. Saulo always has to throw one in that's a little... Who said that you could come out of your house? We're trying to rig another election here. Salo, you added some in, bro. Salo always comes a little over the top. If you cheat getting into college, you can go to jail. If you cheat getting in America, you can go to college. If I'm racist for voting for Donald Trump, ooh, man. Okay, that was, hey, Salo put a shot across. 100%. 100%. Salo comes with the memes that are, the memes, he calls out some questionable memes. No memes. Shut up and comply. Christians and censorship. Coming up here in a little bit, Nico LaHood is going to be working his R-rated Christianity podcast. If you have some time to watch somebody talk about faith and what it means to be blunt and frank in your faith, right? Nico LaHood is aggressive. I always, if you think I've got a little bit over the top like the dude earlier, right? Man, bro, you're rabble-rousing. You ain't seen Nico LaHood. That guy's going to talk about it, but in a context of faith that I would argue we're all missing as a community. I think a little faith and a little respect for that, right? And putting faith in the founding principles of our country just a little more on par with everything else. Yep, I think that. Yep, God just texted me. So putting all those pieces, right? I'm here. Putting faith a little bit more on par with everything else is a lot of our answers, man. Because it's in the soul, it's in the spirit. And a lot of what we're trying to get through, what we're learning about coronavirus, about staying at home, is the human connection that we're missing. That human connection, I'm here to tell you from the bottom of my heart, it's a faith thing you're feeling. When you connect with that body of Christ, I'm going to say it, you connect with that faith. I struggle with faith all the time. I struggle with it every day of my life. But that's a struggle that I continue to try to figure out. But that connection is what I think, if you think of anything we've lost as a city, as a community, what we've lost is that ability to connect. We lost it a long time ago for politics and a lot of reasons. But we've lost it now is that physicality. We can't see our moms. We can't see our friends. And we're starting to come back to it now. But I think that was probably one of the bigger learning lessons we're gonna figure out is just how interconnected people are as people of faith. Everyone is created in that image of God. I don't care who the hell you are. Like I've told it 100 times. And politically, I fall on one side of the realm, but I also understand that if you're elected or you're a politician, you're a leader of this community, you lead everybody. Everybody gets your share and your time. I don't care who or what you believe. We're all part of it. And we're back. Hopefully, when we come back, we learn a little more about that. And we try to be a little bit better at what we're doing day to day. And a little more respect for the differences. To me, that's faith. To me, getting back to that. Nico LaHood will hit that. And the censorship of Christians is off the charts right now. And they want to remove faith because it makes their decision-making a little easier for them if they don't have to look you in the face and tear at you as a moral person, as a soul, and the things you believe in. It's better to think you don't have a soul if they're going to take what you have and change your life with policies and ordinances and laws. It's better to believe you're not a life, right? You're not a soul. It's better to say you're just a person, follow the rules. But when you aspire to a higher goal and being, that's faith, man. I believe it. I'm done with my 2 minutes on that. I just wanted to throw that out there. I think we need a little bit more faith in our community, especially during all this. The broadcast loves you, man. We're going to tell those two people who won. We'll put it back up because it got a little hairy right there when I played that song. It was absolutely awesome, okay? Bean Esposito, you're the best. We love you. Tune in every Thursday, 6:15. I'm probably next week not going to do the Ron Nirenberg thing. People are dying a slow death watching it. But we appreciate you. And as always, when we close this sucker out, we close it out with respect, argue, fight, stand up, rebel, and then at the end of the day, close it up, walk and part friends, or at least part respectful. As always, we appreciate you. The broadcast is out.